Welcome to season 2 of Jay and Chelle Show and Tell podcast. Listen, like we did last season, we're going to put everything on the table in season 2. Everything except for politics. We will keep it fun. We're going to keep it interesting. We're going to keep it sexy. And for sure, we will keep it real. And with that being said, hello. Welcome to another episode of Jay and Chelle Show and Tell. How you doing today, Michelle?
Doing good.
Good. So listen, I am so excited about this particular topic today. You guys are lucky. We are going to give you some great tips, inexpensive dates that you guys can go on, right? And this is just not for the fellas, you know. Women, y'all gotta take the men on some dates too. So, but me and Michelle, we're gonna hook y'all up and give you some very good tips or very good date ideas. Right, Michelle?
That's right. I'm glad you went with inexpensive versus the word cheap.
Yeah. So listen, inexpensive for sure.
Yeah.
And here's the thing when you actually think about it. What is a cheap date, right? It's just all perception, right?
I mean, I call myself a cheap date when I eat salad and drink water.
Mm-hmm.
So that's me being a cheap date, which I'm not.
But let me ask you this: like, what if? Let me try to rephrase this. Are you blown away by extravagant dates, like very expensive dates?
No, I'm not blown away by it. I will say, once in a while, once in a blue moon, maybe once or twice a year, it is fun to get dressed up, look fancy, and go out to like a nice dinner or something, someplace you wouldn't normally go. But I think creativity and, putting thought, I'd rather have some thought put into a date of what we're going to do versus expensive, fancy date nights, for sure.
Right. Now, just to be clear, folks, Netflix and chill is really not a date night. Hulu and your boo boo is not.
For sure,
is not a date night. You know what?
I think you just coined a new phrase.
I never heard of
I haven't either.
We got to copyright that. Hulu and boo boo.
Right.
However, so those are really not. If you think about it, those are really not dates.
It's chilling.
It's basically chilling. Now, it just all depends on the situation, right? If you live alone and you're inviting someone over to, Netflix and chill or, boo boo with Hulu.
You just changed it, I think.
Yeah, I think I did just change it, but still,
Either way,
it's copywritten right now.
Right.
So
heard it here first.
Would you consider that like a date? So if a man invited you over, you're single.
If I was single.
Invited you over and you guys are just watching TV, would you say that's a date?
I would say that's a date because you're spending time with somebody. But to me, it depends on where you're at in your dating. Because if your intention is to try to get to know somebody and you're just sitting in front of a TV, I don't think that's a good way to get to know someone. I think you can get to know somebody better by having like a little wine date. Like, I bought the cheesiest backpack so long ago. Never have once used it, but it's a backpack with wine glasses and corkscrew and a blanket. I believe I still have it someplace, but that to me is like a little like wine picnic. Take some snacks and, a little meat and cheese board and some wine and go chill somewhere. To me, that's a better first or early date because then you can get to know somebody and who they are and what they're all about. If you're just going to watch TV or watch Netflix, I think it's harder. Same with movies. I love going to movies, but I don't think it's a very good first date idea because you aren't really getting to know that person. You're sitting down and watching a movie screen.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you right, it's more of distractions.
Yeah.
When you're talking a first date type thing.
But if a man invited me over to answer your question in Netflix and chill and we're, 7, 8, 10 dates in, that'd be a great date night.
Oh, for sure. But not just the first.
I think you need to get to know somebody before you get to that point.
Exactly. So give the audience an inexpensive date tip. Actually, give the fellas an inexpensive date tip.
Well, I might be in a minority with women on this, but I've always thought, and I've never done it, but I've always thought it was fun, a fun idea. Same kind of concept, grab a bottle of nice wine or something like that and go watch a sunrise or a sunset. You know, I always thought that was like very romantic. You get to still chat, or at nighttime, like lay out and watch the stars. You know, I hate to be outside. I'm not a camper. I hate bugs. I don't like to be too hot or too cold. So I'm sounding like kind of a princess right now, but you know, I think, you know, that kind of a date outside or a bonfire, you know, something like that. I think those are great date ideas. Just get a little creative. You know, don't have to buy an expensive bottle of wine, but grab a bottle of wine or whatever she likes. You know, find out if she likes bourbon or craft beer or wine, or if it's not drinks, then, you know, whatever it is. And, you know, just do a little planning. Putting a little attention and effort into a date is I think, key. Find out something that she likes and play on that.
And that's a great tip. And coming from, you know, a male's perspective, my perspective, you know, I used to think that, okay, I'm going to take this woman out. I need to ball out. You know, let me just put it that way. I need to ball out. I need to spend so much money to you know, make this woman happy or feel good or you know to like me. And that was back in my younger days. But you know, as I got older, it was more of really getting to know her before I even took her out on a date. You know, that way I would know exactly what to do once we're in a position to go out. I would know what she liked. I would know what she likes to do or she likes to eat and things like that. So what I would do, you know, as far as a first date, I don't know. I'm saying I don't know because my mind is moving so fast right now because there's so many different things that you can do.
That's what I'm saying. Find one little thing.
A
couple of things that she likes. You know, maybe she's got sunset pictures in her social media profile or something. Clearly she likes sunsets. So take her to the beach or, you know, something like that and watch a sunset. Like, I think the expensive, what you just mentioned, like having to impress somebody, some females, sure, they're probably impressed by that and that's what they would want. But to me, and I think I would speak for a lot of women, putting some thought into it. Make, you know, that effort that goes into a date idea, I think goes way further than I'm going to take you out to a $200-$300 dinner. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, you know, and one thing I haven't really seen, you know, as far as, and when I say seen, meaning like, you know, on Facebook, you know, folks talk all the time about what they're doing or, you know, dates they're going on, but no one's. What about breakfast? You know, what about hitting the local Coney? You know what I'm saying? For corned beef.
Take me to Applebee's while you're at it with your gift card.
Well, you know, corned beef omelet with Swiss cheese or something like that. But I mean, to my point, everyone wants to eat breakfast, right?
You make a really good point. And I said to you the other day, we've never, I don't think, once gone out to breakfast together. And I love breakfast. I love going out to breakfast. So
I mean, just
there's
to be
a
clear,
little idea for you, Jay.
I can cook.
Jay makes a great breakfast
I can
at home.
cook. So therefore, but let's get back to it. But yeah, no one really talks about, you know, hey, I'm going on a breakfast date.
Well, you know, before breakfast, Netflix and chill, whatever happens in the middle, take her out to breakfast.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a nice date.
Yeah, that's a nice date. That's Chelle for you. So, but again, no one really talks about a breakfast date. No one really talks about a coffee date. Now, there's a lot of coffee shops that you can actually go to.
There are.
Sit down, relax, have a nice hot cup of coffee, either, you know, before work or, you know, first break or you know that midday break. A date can be so simple if you think about it, but I think a lot of folks try to impress the other person by doing extravagant things. You know, at this you know point in my life, and it took me a while to figure this out. You really don't have to go all out like that, especially if you have good chemistry with this person, because I believe that if a woman likes you and she's digging you, she would be okay with whatever you want to do. You know, if you call that woman up and say, hey, let's go grab a quick breakfast, let's go grab a quick coffee, she would do it. You know,
sure.
but key part is, you know, how well do you know this person? Even though it may be a first date, how well did you get to know this person before this particular first date?
Well, that's why you say this all the time. You've said it on here, and you say it just in life all the time. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So you should listen more than you talk. So when you are listening to likes, dislikes, doesn't even have to be talking about what has she done before that she's liked or hasn't liked on dates, but just picking up little pieces of, you know, I love wine. Take that and run with it. Go to a winery, or like I said, find out what kind of wine and grab a bottle and plan something, you know, fun, casual, so that you can get to know each other. I think that's, again, the effort for me goes way further than anything else. So listen to little things about what she may like and then play on that and plan something. Again, it doesn't have to be spending a ton of cash. It can be just spending time together and getting to know that person more.
Yeah, or, you know, long drives, you know, stop at, you know, different places and kick it. That's a very inexpensive date.
With the gas prices.
You hit it right on the nose. Just all depends, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you might want to do that when gas go down to $1. I don't know, but anyway, my point is, a nice drive. I mean, it's the fall.
I love
You're gonna
that
see
idea.
a lot of beautiful colors, beautiful leaves. You know,
There's actually websites in Michigan that are strictly dedicated to where are the best places to take drives to see the fall colors. Yeah, that's something that's, even now with the prices, we're joking, but that's a really, I think, a nice date idea, going and looking at where the best colors are for the fall. And then, you know, if you have similar taste in music, that's great. But, you know, on a drive, I like that idea a lot, because if you have different tastes in music, then maybe take turns playing DJ.
For sure.
And get to know what each other likes as far as music goes and taste. So I think that's a good idea. The drive I like.
Oh, for sure. Or even cut the radio off and just talk.
That's true.
You know, that you can do that also. So there's a lot of different things that, or inexpensive things that you can do. You know, for one, you know, to save money, and for two, to, you know, bring back, you know, the romance. I've seen someone posted on my timeline and said, is there any more romance out there? You know, guys are not, you know, romantic anymore, you know. So there's very small things that you can do to, you know, bring the spark in that particular date.
I like the idea too of cooking dinner together. So as long as you're comfortable with that, I mean, maybe one person's a little bit better cook than the other, so I can be the sous chef and you're the great cook. So, you know, I think that's a fun idea too. Make like a nice dinner at one of your houses or at home if you live together, and, you know, plan who's going to do what, get some candles, and cook together. Actually do dinner together. I think that's a fun idea too.
Yeah, for sure. You know, sexy apron in the kitchen. There's nothing wrong with that. For sure. So how can I ask this question? So, well, you know, forget that question.
No, now you have to ask it.
I know, right?
Everyone wants to know what
my brain kind of froze on this, so I'm going to move on to the next thought.
Okay.
One of the reasons why you really don't want to go into a place, let's just say a bar, right? The worst type of date is going into a bar that's playing the loudest music, and you both are literally yelling at each other, trying to hear each other's conversation. Like, it's so distracting. You know what I'm saying? You can go to plenty bars and have an inexpensive date, but what's the value in that particular date? What have you learned more? What have you, what don't you know now? You know what I'm saying? So I definitely wouldn't recommend hitting a bar on the first date.
I think you can hit a bar as long as you've been to that place before and you know it's one of the more quiet ones.
Oh yeah.
Because there's obviously differences. If it's a loud sports bar or if there's live music or karaoke going on, it's going to be a little bit louder. But if there are definitely more quiet bars. So I think that's where, you know, I was saying before, do your research. You know, research what she or he likes and play on that, but also research where you're going. Because there's definitely places that are way louder than others. So I think as long as you do a little planning ahead of time, or if you've been at a place before and you know this is quite a good date spot, then I think that's a perfect. I mean, I think a bar can be a perfect spot too. As long as people like that kind of atmosphere, or find a place with a cool atmosphere. There's, we're in Detroit, or we're outside of Detroit, but there's a lot of places in Detroit. There's rooftops. There are igloo bars. There's a lot of different kind of concepts or themes that you can do too. So if there's, a particular thing like that you like, speakeasies, I'm obsessed with those. And those are usually quiet. They're usually dark, usually hard to get into and sometimes hard to find. There are a few here. But I think even speakeasies would be a cool concept for a date.
Definitely a cool concept for sure. What would you consider just an awful date? Awful first date. I put it that way.
Awful first date. Well, you just mentioned noisy. I don't think that would be a good first date. I mentioned it earlier, movies. I think movies are a great date idea, but you're not learning anything. I know you said you would like to get to know a person before taking them out, but I still think there is a first date. You're still trying to get to know that person and seeing if you're compatible or if you mesh together. So sitting down and watching a movie, you're not going to know anything about that person or if you're compatible, if you like them or not. I don't think so. I would say probably on my list a movie, unless it's like a drive-in or something, because there are, I think, one or two of those around here. Drive-in is kind of a cool idea because you can get to know someone a little bit. I mean, yes, you're watching the film, but you're also, you can speak to each other. In a movie theater, it's frowned upon, silence your phone, don't talk. So I would say probably a movie is one of the worst, or like a loud establishment, whether it's a restaurant, bar, something like that. So I think those would probably be the top of my list of worst first dates.
Worst first date. Okay.
What do you think?
Worst first date. I would just say the woman just being quiet, sometimes, you can get to know someone before you take them out on a date, but then there's still that nervousness once you're actually out with them. If I find myself just constantly trying to, bring up conversation, talking about the weather, things like that, just somebody just so dry, but then again, if you're listening and, then I would know that ahead of time. And I just went years back to just a bad date that I had, so that's where that came from. Just not really interacting or communicating, but just there, for me to ball out. I'll put it to you that way, right?
That can happen anywhere, though. You can do the fancy date night and have it. I mean, that just means you're not compatible with that person.
Yeah.
You probably are not going to have a second or third date if it's that bad. So I think if people are compatible and they're relaxing and getting to know each other and meshing well together, I think to me, it doesn't matter what you do, as long as, again, you're together and some thought has gone into it. Flowers, it's a nice idea. I know we were talking inexpensive, and flowers can be inexpensive.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with one rose.
Bring some flowers, bring one rose. Those. I'm a romantic person, so I like those kinds of things. Like, just again, the attention to detail.
Yeah,
is nice.
For sure.
Or shoes. Bring me some shoes. That's fine too.
Some shoes?
Or a size 9.
Size 9? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
I bet no one has ever brought shoes on a first date to their date.
I've never ever heard that before. Never.
I wouldn't frown upon that.
Right. Now, would you go and pick up a guy for a first date?
Yeah. I would. I would plan a first date. I would pick up a guy. Sure.
Ladies, fellas, there are women out there that will come pick you up, that will take you out, that will spend money on an inexpensive date. Now, should a guy pay for this might cause a little shit right here. Should a guy pay for the first date, or should a woman pay for the first date?
I personally think whoever asks the person out should pay for it. So if I ask you out on a date, then I'll pay. I think that's only makes sense. So
I can respect that.
If I ask you to a concert or a comedy show, and I know we're inexpensive, those things are not. But if I'm asking you to go with me, I'm going to pay for it. But if you ask me, then I would expect you to. So I think that's how that should work.
Yes. Yes, Michelle. I think that's how that should work too. Seriously, because there are some people. You're
going to say there's some females. I know you're going to say that right now. There's females who will expect a man to pay. I just know it.
Slow down.
That's my J voice.
Slow down. I'm gonna keep it 100. We said we go keep it real, right?
We are keeping it real.
Listen, there are women that will plan a date and that will tell that man and expect that man to pay for that date and drive. Literally, I have an idea. Let's go to dinner. Let's go ride a roller coaster. Let's I don't know. And expect a man to pay for the whole thing. Listen, I do understand that there are guys out there that will pay for it. Mm-hmm. But fellas, you ain't got to. You just don't have to. If a woman is asking you to take her out, or if she's trying to plan the date, there's nothing wrong with her paying for that date.
No,
there's nothing wrong with it at all.
There's nothing wrong with it. But I think a lot of guys want to try to pay. But I think a little tip for the ladies, just at least do the reach. Like, just act like you're going to try to pay, or grab your wallet or something, or your credit card.
I think there's a lot of guys out there that really don't want to pay for that date, but feel like there's a lot of guys out there that really don't want to pay for that date, but they feel like it's the right thing to do to pay for the date because men has been doing it for so long. And again, this is really not.
It is the expectation.
It's the expectation, So again, men, there's nothing wrong with paying for dates. But at the same time, if you plan that date, then there are women out there that will pay for the date, and just like Chelle said, hey, if this is what I want to do, this is where I want to go, she would pay for it. Now, I'm not going to get into personal information when it comes to me and Michelle or how we may think when it comes to this, because it is what it is with us, but. Again, is absolutely nothing wrong if you are a woman to take a man out. There's absolutely nothing wrong if you are a man to take that woman out, especially if you plan that particular date. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with it. And listen, guys will love that. Any guy will love, hey, come on, I got this plan. Let me take you out. Guys will love to hear that from a woman.
Yeah. So again, I don't know if I'm alone in this where I think the asker should pay, or split it. There's nothing wrong with splitting a date either. If you're going to go see a movie, you get the ticket, I'll get the snacks. That's perfectly acceptable too. But I do want to circle back to the driving thing of how to pick someone up. Literally, you never asked me to drive because you hate my driving. So
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to drive comfortable. I ain't trying to be paranoid.
I'm not getting into who's better drivers on this show or any ever, because I will lose that battle all day long. But never, you don't want me driving. So if you're a good driver, sure.
Well, it's not like I don't want you to drive. If I got a nice little buzz, trust me, I'm gonna let you drive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That way I can fall asleep. Fall asleep and not be paranoid. While I'm riding. But listen, it's.
I really don't think as adults, though. The only other thing I wanted to say was I don't think as adults that there should be the guy should only pay. I really don't. I think
as adults,
we're all adults.
No.
Yeah, I'm asking you out, I should pay or pay part of it. But I think there is definitely an awkwardness, especially if you're newly dating. Once you've dated someone for a while, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, for sure.
But the newly dating people, and another tip for the ladies, ask that guy out. If you are interested in somebody or you like somebody, ask him out. Don't wait for him to ask you out. That's bull. Do it.
I agree, Michelle. I agree. Yes. I mean, we have to get into be realistic when it comes to certain situations. And I really don't want to repeat this, but I will. The common thing is to do, hey, men are going to go out and they're going to pay, but as men, we are also always asking too, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with a woman asking a man and going to take care of it, But at the same time, you just don't want to. I don't want to make it about who's paying or who's not paying. It's more about finding an inexpensive date, really getting to know that person, and then everything else that happened after that if you guys mesh. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's why we wanted to give some tips for inexpensive dates. We don't know people's situations. Maybe they're dating multiple people. So maybe inexpensive means
It is
I got
2022.
I got 5 dates this week. I got to keep it, can't be doing fancy dinner every night. So that's why the things like the beach, the sunrise, sunset, breakfast, coffee, all those things are really good ideas. Cook dinner together, things that we've already listed as inexpensive date ideas. I think that's definitely, and you can still be sweet and you can still put that effort in, and have a very nice date by doing that.
So even though we probably covered 2 or 3 topics within this particular episode, I want to know, and I'm gonna go back to this. I want to know, hey, whose job is it to pay for a date? Is it always the man's job to pay for a date, or can women pay for the date, or do you think whoever sets up the date or asks the person out should pay for the date? And if you have any tips on inexpensive dates, hey, leave it in the comments. Let us know. We would love to hear your story. Hey, tell us
hear your ideas.
Tell us one of your worst stories as far as dates go. Worst places that you've been to as far as a first date go.
Or if you don't want to be a negative person, tell us the best ones.
or tell us the best ones. Exactly. Do you have any final comments?
Yeah,
Chelle?
yeah, I do. So I think we've focused a lot on newly dating people. I want to shout out back to, I think it was episode 4 that we did, where never stop dating your partner. So this doesn't just apply to someone who is currently single and dating and going on dates. This, I think, applies through marriages. I mean, if you've been with somebody for 10, 20, 15, whatever years, I think it applies. Don't stop dating your partner. Always surprise them and plan something. I love when I get oh, let's go see this movie tonight. I already bought tickets. That's such a sweet thing that will take me by surprise. And I love that. So don't stop dating your partner. If you've been with somebody, you live together, plan your date nights. We schedule date nights. I think that, and it doesn't have to be an expensive, extravagant date. It can be something, like I said, cooking dinner at home together. Just plan that. Surprise your partner once in a while with something that they're not expecting, and make it a sweet, fun little date night. Yeah,
if you've been with your partner for a while, and like Michelle said, make date nights, and at that point you can Hulu with your boo boo. You know what I'm saying? So listen, thank you guys for tuning in once again. Listen, please don't forget to go to our Facebook page, our Instagram page. Press like, go to our YouTube page. Please subscribe. If you want to listen, we are on Sounder, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify.
And we are on TikTok as well. So don't forget to check us out there.
And we be TikToking too. So until next time, peace.